to Lead Like a Woman, where we are hoping to inspire and support women in real estate. Today, Kareen and I are interviewing Kelly Ellis. Hi, Kelly.
Hello, how are you?
Good. Thanks for being on. Kareen,
Thank
can
you
you
for having
introduce
me.
Kelly to us?
Yes, I'm excited for our very first interview with Kelly Ellis of Coldwell Banker in the Denver metro area. Kelly has been a referral partner of ours for years and is a powerhouse in the Denver area, and I'm so proud of the work that she's doing there. So, to give you a little background, Kelly has a degree in psychology with a master's in clinical social work, which
It's
if I
perfect.
don't know if that prepares you for real estate.
I'm not gonna lie.
I think everybody needs to have a degree in psychology to be a real estate broker. But she's worked her way up through Coldwell Banker with Sterling Society, Diamond Society, and the President's Circle. She's earned the Denver Metro Association of Realtors Excellence Award, and she was featured in 5280 magazine. And for those of you who are not from Colorado, 5280 is a mile, so mile high.
Yes,
so there's
Mile
lots
High
of
City.
80 in Denver, but she was a 5-star realtor. She is a wife and the mother of 2 amazing girls and 2 rescue animals, a dog and a cat. So welcome, Kelly
I know.
Ellis.
Well, hello. Top of the morning to you.
Yeah, it's morning in Colorado. Jennifer's in Spain. It's afternoon there. Who knows what time it is where you are, but
Amazing.
welcome to our very first interview. We're excited to inspire and be a support for women in this crazy business. So, Kelly,
Yes.
tell us a little bit about how did you go from a degree in psychology and clinical social work, which I'm sure you thought you had a path. How did that defer into real estate?
Well, so I was working in the mental health area. So my clients were severely psychotic, homicidal, and suicidal.
Wow.
So I started out as a group therapist, and then I was promoted to manage the treatment facility. So we would step people up or step people down from the state hospitals and then assess if they could live in the community. And then if they could, what does that look like? And if they couldn't, then what was the long-term care for them? So that job obviously doesn't pay a lot, and you're on call 24 hours a day. And it's
like
just very
high
stressful.
stress. Yeah.
Very stressful. So I got burned out. So my mother-in-law at the time was in real estate, and she approached me and said, I think you'd be really good. You should try this. And I was like a deer in headlights going, I don't know anything about sales. She was like, you'll be fine. I'll mentor you, or I'll help you. And I was like, okay. So gave me a 2-week notice, waited tables in the meantime, and went to real estate school and passed the test. And here I am 16 years later. So that's kind of how it transitioned. So
That's
but I wasn't
awesome.
great in the beginning. So it's been a journey to get here. So,
but I have to think that your education prepared you. I mean, my dad always said this is 90% people business, 10% knowledge. Like I was always worried about not knowing enough when I first started. He said, don't worry, it's 90% people business. So what helped you from your training?
I think to your point, it's very much a people-based business. And that's kind of, I think, where it shifted in my career too. The very first manager I ever had was a female. I've been very fortunate. I've had majority of my managers have been women, which has been amazing. But I think just being able to understand people and trying to really get down to what their needs are and what their wants are, and then trying to build from there, and really establish that relationship with them. That rapport building that is huge in psychology. It's huge in real estate. I mean, that if you don't have trust and rapport with your clients, it's not going to be a great transaction throughout.
I imagine too that like because you were in such a high stress field before, that now it's like, I mean, buyers and sellers are like really stressed out, right? But you're like, really? This is so like, can you help us give us some tips for that? Because for a lot of real estate agents, if they're selling, 4 or 5 houses a year, this one client represents a large portion of their income. And if they're freaking out, then it's easy to kind of like attach yourself to that freak out.
Well, and I think that's where, like Kareen and I were talking about this at one point with buyers and sellers. I think especially in the market that we were in along the last years, where it was highly emotional and very frustrating. helping them identify what's really wrong. Sometimes what they're upset about, and being in that moment with them it doesn't feel great and it's hard, but if you can do it, like I'm out, all of a sudden I get a call, he's coming to the inspection. I just wouldn't return my calls, and I was like, what is going on? And so when I called him, I put my car in park because I was on my way to the inspection, and sat and just stopped, and I just said, "Can you talk about this for a second?" And he goes, "Yeah." And so I just started peeling away, and I've come to find out he owned 2 other houses, and he just found out about owning 3 houses, and he was concerned about us selling one, if we were going to be able to sell it. And so once you can dive in and really peel away of what's wrong, then he was able to do that and just kind of peel away. So hope that helps.
And I think that's such a
good to have those tough conversations too, because real estate, it's not all flowers like everybody thinks it is. So there's a lot of conversations you have to have with clients, and being able to be that resource at the door in focusing on them and remembering that the transaction, this is not about you, I think really helps. Like not my monkey, not my circus, to myself, that one that broke the sewer line. I'm not the one that didn't, things happen. But if I can have a tough conversation with them and about it and help them through it and make that decision, that's huge. So yeah. What about you?
I think that it's a blessing and a curse of women come to it with a lot of understanding and emotional. Like when I started, and Kelly, we talked about this when you started, you really tie your emotions to the outcome, which I think it's very important for people to learn. You can't do that. You will drive yourself crazy. Instead of detaching a little bit from the negotiations. We're so good at diving down into what is the meaning behind it. Like, I want I want privacy. Whatever people's wants are, I think we're really good at diving down into what that is. But learning, so talked about your journey of learning to detach yourself a little bit from the outcomes.
Uh-oh.
Kelly, did you hear that okay? Did we lose Kelly?
Oh. I think we lost her.
Oh no.
Oh no. Well, let's while she jumps back in here, I know when we talk about, we're obviously, we're talking to really successful women in real estate. And we try to boil down their journey into like a word that means something to them and their, oh, here she's back. Yay. Hi. You're back. Maybe. Are you there?
Yeah, well, Jen works on that. We'll talk about the word a little bit. Boiling down the journey to one word that really changed things for each person, or one word that's sort of their mantra or something that they go back to all the time.
Right.
So we're going to talk to Kelly about that and her word.
Right. And I think like what was your word when we looked at your journey?
Oh gosh. I think it sounds cheesy, and everybody uses this word, but authenticity for me,
of for sure.
Figuring out really who I was. So Kelly, there you are. We had technical.
Sorry, I don't know what's going on. Sorry, guys.
So while you were gone, Jennifer and I were talking about the one word that sort of describes your journey. And in that, and leading up to that, I am amazed at the mentors that you had. So will you tell us the story of when you very first started, the real estate broker that sort of changed your trajectory?
Yeah. So she is and still is one of my mentors. Her and her husband have a team, and they're a powerhouse, huge producers. And I was really intimidated by her, but she saw that I was, I was struggling in the beginning, like we all do in the beginning with real estate. You go to school and you learn all the technicalities of it and the contracts, but they don't really teach you how to market, how to put a listing presentation together, all the important stuff.
Right.
And so
how to deal with people, how to calm
one night
people
I was
down.
in the office and yeah, exactly. So I was in the office, kind of upset. I was getting frustrated. And she literally just said, okay, go get your stuff. And I was like, what? She goes, go get your stuff. You're going to follow me home and we're going to just talk. So I was like, okay. So I went and got my stuff, got to her house. She poured me a big glass of wine, put out some cheese and crackers. And and we sat there and talked. And she started normal. And then she showed me her listing presentation. She showed marketing. She showed me how to market, how often to market, how to market to your sphere, because that's different than marketing to, trying to get new referrals in a farm or something like that. She was amazing. And then she would check in every month with me. Where are you with this? How is this? How did the farming go? How was your first listing presentation? She was amazing. So that was really pivotal to have someone that came from the place of abundance, and not scarcity, where we're all competing against each other. And women tend to sometimes, I think, and I wish that we weren't like that with each other, but she came from a place of building me up instead of tearing me down. It was amazing.
Awesome.
And she was huge, and
What
she's
a
still a
great
huge
thing. Like,
yeah.
I just want to celebrate her so
Yes.
much.
Yes.
This is not competitive. There is so much business, and there is enough business for everyone, really, in your unique areas. And I just hear that, and it absolutely warms my heart. And I hope that every woman listening, I hope she has somebody like that in her life, and I hope that she can be somebody like that to somebody else.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
And she taught me that. So when now there's new brokers in the office, I will often go up to them and say, congratulations listing, or you need help, please don't ever hesitate to knock on my door or give me a call. So she taught me to be that woman and come from a place of abundance, and not be, just help build these women up, because women are amazing. We're really amazing what we can handle in a day. I mean, I remember one time cooking dinner. I had my oldest on my hip. I was literally making pasta, and I was negotiating a contract on the phone. And my husband's head would explode if he had to do that. So women are, they're amazing. We're amazing. So we just need to help each other out.
When you think about your journey, and we were talking about, like, what is your word? What does it boil down to? And you came up with permission. How did you come up with that? It sounds like it even started in the very beginning with your mother-in-law. But it's like, look, there's something different that's better. Yeah.
And I think, again, it came down to women in this industry. My first manager, I remember I was, doubting. I don't think I'm this transactional person that can just burn and turn. That's just not my style. And I don't know if I can do this. I thought that's what sales was. And she said, no. She was like, you're right. You're not like that. She said, you can build your business on relationships. And my family was like, just like exploded. That shifted. But the biggest one was my second female manager, Tammy Miller. She was amazing. And she's still with Coldwell Banker. Was sitting down with her, and it was almost like I was afraid. It was like I was a secret mom. I was afraid to admit that I loved being a mom and wanted to be a mom and still work and have
because
these
it somehow
goals
detrimented your work.
Yeah. Well, in sales, how many times are numbers shoved down our throats? Close, sales. We need to be here, and that's important. And she was always about our numbers, and she would meet with us quarterly. Where are you with your numbers? How are you on track? How's this marketing? Did you do what you said you were going to do? And she asked me one day, how you're doing? How am I doing? And I just said, and I was kind of scared to tell her, but I just kind of came out with it. And I said, I'm struggling a little bit. And she's like, what are you struggling with? Your numbers are amazing. And I said, well, I'm struggling with being a mom and working. And she stopped and literally took the business plan and put it aside. And she said, Kelly, being a mom is so important. She goes, I wish that I wouldn't have missed out on so many baseball games, on so many school things. You know, she's like, I regret that because those years are so, you know, they're so quick and it goes so fast. And so she said to me, if being a mom is important to you and spending time with your kids and being there and showing up for them is important, then you need to build that into your business plan.
Yeah.
And again, my head was just like, what? I mean, it was just like coming from this amazing, successful woman, you know, it was really empowering for her to say, it's okay. It's okay to be a mom. And then it allowed me to give myself permission to still want to be successful and make these numbers and want to be at the top, but also to block out time for my family. And I know that sounds so silly and simple, but as you guys know, this job, when people say I got into real estate because it's flexible, it's not as flexible. It's not as flexible as everybody thinks it is. It's because you're a lot of time you're at everybody else's beck and call and schedule. So for me to block out time for my kids and my family weekly was huge for me, and that allowed the pressure. It just pressure off big, and so that also transitioned and allowed me to get, you know, better. Not even better as a mom, but a better broker too. So yeah. That was where that comes
What do you
from.
do? Sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead, Jennifer.
I was going to ask about, so when you are feeling like the pressure to be at the, you know, sports and do all the things, and also you have like a client that like desperately needs to like a contract written or whatever, how are you giving talk to us about like the actual logistics of you giving yourself permission to honor your calendar, honor what you said and agreed to do with your children, your family, and yet still honor what your clients have hired you for. What specifically are you doing?
So I definitely time block. That's a big one. And I hired
louder for the people in the back, Kelly. Dang.
Yeah. So and don't get me wrong, I'm human. We're all human. You know, there are times where I can shift my calendar. You know, if I have an out-of-state buyer coming in or I have something that comes up, I can shift my calendar. But I'm pretty strict when it comes to my family. My family's huge for me. So being home to make dinner for them every night, that's a big deal. So if it's not an emergency, if the basement's not flooding or the roof's not on fire, then I'll call you back tomorrow. You know, and I've had to really learn to set those boundaries with people, which I was not good at in the beginning. I would write a contract at 10:30 at night if someone wanted me to. You know, I mean, it was crazy. And so now I think setting those boundaries, time blocking, I hired a TC finally, and that was huge. So the fact that she can handle my marketing, handle, you know, getting all the paperwork done, because I was showing houses all day, or I would listing appointments, and I would come home and then I would spend 3 hours on my computer. So it wasn't really being a mom. I was home, but I wasn't really engaged. So I think time blocking, being organized, having systems, having a TC that was life-changing.
Huge.
Yeah. And so that's really helped.
Do you feel like you've lost business because of it, gained business, or stayed neutral?
I feel like I've gained business because of it, because you know, I'm a happier person and a broker when I have time with my family and my crew. So I'm more engaged with my clients. I think having healthy boundaries also, they respect that a little bit more as a person, I think. But having my TC who keeps me organized and gets everything everywhere on time and organizes the dates, and she's checking in with people and reminding me you have this, you know, that in and of itself expanded my business big time, because she was able to allow me to have more time. So
do you think your clients see you more as a professional when you set those appropriate boundaries? My rule is, if it's not an emergency, I will call you back tomorrow. And I think, to your point, permission, giving yourself permission that I don't have to respond to this right now. I will respond during normal business hours. Contract negotiations, all bets are off. I'm answering the phone, cooking pasta.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
But
yes,
I just thought you can't access most professionals in this world night and day. So
no.
Do you think there is something to acting like a professional? You will be treated like a professional?
I think so, 100%. I mean, it's just like anything in this world. When someone has boundaries with you, don't you respect them a little bit more when they're very clear about what they expect and how they'll communicate with you. And that's the thing too. I think just in the beginning too, setting those expectations with your clients and saying, I will call you back and you are a huge priority to me. But if again, and I always use a funny example, like if the basement's not flooding or something, I promise I'll call you back the next day. Now, if we're negotiating a contract, that's one thing, to your point. Or if it's an ememergency, I will call you back. I'll call you back or I'll answer my phone. But I think
there's not
people
that many
respect boundaries.
emergencies, though.
Yeah.
We're
True.
real estate agents. We're not the police. We're not the fire department.
I always say we're not ER doctors.
Well, your doctor, I mean, it's just like your dentist. I mean, it's like those people, they all have boundaries and hours. And I mean, obviously if it's an emergency, just like us, but yeah, I think having boundaries is crucial. And I think that makes you look more professional when you set those expectations and boundaries with them. And they respect you more, I think.
It's even more to your point. It's not, I don't even know, setting them is important, right? And some people need to do that, but just simply honoring what your boundaries are sets them already. Yeah. Like your actions are speaking louder, right? So like I've had in my head, like people can message me whenever. I mean, it doesn't matter to me, but that doesn't mean that I have to respond.
Yes.
Right away.
Yeah.
Like,
yes.
If you think of something and it's 9:00 at night, that's fine. But like, I'll
get back to you tomorrow. Yeah. And I think you have to hold those boundaries too. Yeah.
But like when I started being authentically myself, like that is part of my journey of like pretending to be this professional, like a man broker.
Yes.
Like my journey is kind of figuring out, just be yourself. And part of that is the brokers, and granted, we're in Northern Colorado, which is a smaller area, but the brokers are pretty friendly and tight and nice in this area. And they even protect my time at the ball field. So when my daughter was playing, I will not answer the phone, period, during a game, will not. And even once brokers found out, like, oh, no, you go, you do that, we'll talk later. Like when you open up about what is going on in your life, people are kind and friendly and protective, and there's nothing wrong. It's giving yourself permission to not pretend like I don't have a family life. Give yourself permission to show up at your kids' events or whatever it is that's at the gym or whatever it is that's important to you. You have to give yourself permission to have that time guilt-free.
Yes. And that's hard. Yes. It's hard to do. And I think that's, I think 1,000%. And I've learned that too, that if you are communicating with a broker, and not every broker's nice and understanding, unfortunately, but there are, I think, more of them out there than you think. And if you're just open saying, I'm happy to talk to you, but my daughter, it's her basketball game. And I'm the same way. When she's playing basketball, I'm not going to answer the phone. And so because she sees mom on the phone and then that takes away from her, I don't want that. So I think a lot of them, they understand. I'll call you back after the game. It's only an hour, I'll call you back. So I think that's true.
Yeah, I don't even think that necessarily you have to justify it, right? It's like, hey, can I call you back at, 5:50 or 6:00 or whatever it is? And they're like, yeah, sure, no problem. People just want to know that you received the request. Have you ever, Kelly, you are successful. So I imagine that there's people that you choose not to work with. Can you tell us a little bit more about like how you can tell from the beginning, or if once you're in the relationship and you realize that you were wrong and you should not be working with them, like how that process works?
Well, that's again, psychology comes into play with that sometimes really well. No, I think we all can tell red flags. When you're telling my kids, and like you have what's called intuition, and it's God. We call it the God gut in our house. God knocking on your head, going, "Don't do this."
Right.
And I've had that where I've ignored it. But I definitely choose, if I feel people aren't going to be honest with me and upfront, I don't want to waste my time because I don't want to go down that road. But I've definitely fired clients for not treating me well, screaming and yelling at me when it's not my fault. I'm not going to do that.
No.
And I would rather let go of people that I don't get a good feel of and refer them to someone else that are, and I always think if you take up the negative in your life, the more positive comes in. So if you allow for more space of the clients that you work with and that will appreciate you and appreciate your time and appreciate what you're doing, then for difficult to work, they're not going to be honest, they're not going to respect your time.
Right.
Some, so just
can you give us an example of, oh, I think we're losing her.
Me and vice versa.
Oh, okay. I think we lost you again for a minute. Is it bad weather there in Colorado?
No, it is sunny and gorgeous. So I'm not sure.
Can you do it again? Sorry.
Yeah. I was asking you.
Maybe it's the ghost from Halloween.
Yeah, probably. I think it was. Do you have like a specific, like, let's say you get a referral and you can tell, I don't know, maybe.
There you are. Sorry.
Do we have you back? Oh no.
Technology is always great until it doesn't work.
I know, right? Hey, we'll wait for her signal to get a little stronger. Kareen, how does that, like, I'm sure you've had to do that too, right? It's like you have somebody that was referred to you or something like that, and you're like,
absolutely. I totally agree with Kelly of when you take out the negative, time-consuming, time suck, it allows time for 8 more things.
Right.
So I'm a firm believer in choosing your business wisely and also pairing people. I may not be the best fit for somebody. And this is such a personal transaction where you are such a tight team from start to finish, whether you're buying or selling a house, that sometimes I'm on a team. So sometimes they may click with my business partner more than me. Awesome. He takes the lead. Sometimes I click more than I'm the lead. Sometimes like, gosh, you know what? This is just not a good fit. I know the perfect agent to refer them to match up personalities. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that because I totally agree with Kelly of it opens opportunity. But also, Kelly, if you're back, I definitely want to share resources that I found helpful.
Yay!
Hey, so you mentioned a TED Talk.
Sorry, you guys. Hi. Back.
Hi.
Hi.
Oh my gosh.
And I went and listened to that. And I have been telling every person I know, like, oh my gosh, if you have not listened to it, listen to it. So can you share a little bit about what you heard and what inspired you in your daily life?
So Sheryl Sandberg, she used to be the Facebook. She's got her own thing now, but there's a TED Talk with her. And there were 2 huge points, I think, in that TED Talk that really spoke to me. The first one was when she talks about women sit at the table. So don't sit on the sidelines, sit at the table with the big boys. Know who you are as a woman and be proud of what you do. Women, men constantly, and this isn't male bashing, but we're taught to be humble our careers and humble about our success and not give ourselves kudos and praise. And she basically said, be proud of who you are, be proud of the job you do, and don't be afraid to say, I earned that, I did that. So sit at the table.
Can I add something to that exact thing? Is she talked about the more successful men are, the more they are liked. The more successful women are, the more they are not liked. And I think the only thing that's going to change that is us. So not only being proud of what you bring to the table, but be proud of every woman that brings something to the table. A successful one woman is successful all women.
I agree 1,000%. And that circles back, being that woman that builds another woman up, instead of tearing her down, build her up, be excited for her. That doesn't take away from you or your success or what you're doing. Be proud of her because it's just pushing us further along as women and making us better and stronger. I agree. And the second part that I thought was not only hysterical and awesome, but very true. And I apologize for all of you, engineer people that need the exact data and stats. She does not give you where she got the data from, but she did say that there is true data out there that supports that and this is in a dual income house, so husband and wife that both work, both make money. The woman, still on top of having a full-time job, does double the housework and 3 times the childcare. So it's like we have 3 full-time jobs. And I know that you all can identify with that. And that was huge. And so she talks about having a real partner in life. But also what I took away from that too is give ourselves a break sometimes. I mean, what we do, and I was telling Kareen this, and this is just, I think, what goes back to, I think, how amazing women are and what we can do and manage in a day. My husband and I were having a lovely heated discussion about who was the most tired, who was more tired. And
oh my God, the competition,
no,
huh?
it's so bad.
Let's go down this road. It was like, who's the tiredest of them all? He had just gotten back from traveling, and I'm thinking in my head going, I have had 2 kids, worked full time, put 2 houses under contract, and running around showing houses, different drop-offs for kids, just managing the house, the pets, everything else. And you're tired, you got to eat by yourself. You got to go to the bathroom without someone sticking their fingers under the door saying, twinkle, twinkle, little star. As you're staying up till 11 o'clock, negotiating contracts, up at 6, packing lunches. So, and then we were in the middle of this, and all of a sudden I look at him and I was like, do you even know if we're out of toilet paper? And he was like, what? And he was like, do you even know if we're out of toilet paper? And I was like, he's like, what does that have to do with anything? And I was like, everything. And I said, those are the details that I get to manage on top of dry cleaning, groceries, cooking dinner, kids, your day, my day, clients, managing my business, doing everything. On top of that, I get to make sure that we don't run out of toilet paper. So I think that was kind of like
Did you win?
I took away from.
No, I'm just kidding. Nobody wins.
Well, I think I did. He just wouldn't admit it, but yes. That was, but that
no,
was.
It's true. Mr. Larson has many great qualities, but he has absolutely no idea how much toilet paper is in this house.
Yes. And Eric he is a partner. He's a true partner, but we're all human at the end of the day. But I think that was part of that TED Talk that I took away was she said, have a partner in life that really supports you and wants you to be successful, and that will help, but also what I took away too is just, we're amazing. Women are amazing in what we can do in a day and how we can manage ourselves and set ourselves up for success. I mean, give ourselves a break too sometimes, and work hard. So yeah.
Well, let's, what was the TED Talk again?
So Sheryl Sandberg. So if you go to TED Talk and you just type in Sheryl Sandberg, it'll pop up. But she talks about how we need to have more women in careers and to sit at the table and, really push ourselves forward and support each other. So it's a really powerful TED Talk. It's really interesting.
Well, let's wrap up, and let's say you guys have inspired me to think about like what is something, Kelly, that you are proud of, either that you accomplished or you're proud of that you're working towards in your career, in your real estate career?
So I am incredibly proud of, obviously, my family, and I'm proud of how far I've come. Mm-hmm. When I first started, I remember looking at women in this career that were, names were on the top, they were in the top, I never thought I would be here from where I started. And I just kept plugging away, and every year kept saying, how can I be a better broker? How can I build my business this year? What did I learn last year to make myself better this year? And so that's how I built my business. And I'm really proud of that. I never thought I would be, in the top, 2% of Coldwell Banker in the state of Colorado. Never thought I would be there. So I'm just proud of that. And what I keep trying to work towards, again, is just really building this business. And I want to start going in a different direction too in this business is, starting to purchase our own rental properties, purchasing fix and flips, not in the bad way, but really starting to turn properties and going in that direction a little bit. So that's my goal this year.
Nice.
And working towards that. So yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Well, I'm very proud of the work you do. I mean, we send her referrals.
You as well.
Great reviews. They do such a great job. So if you have a referral in the Denver metro area, Kelly, do you want to provide your contact information or the best way to reach you?
Yes. So Kelly Ellis, again, Coldwell Banker. Phone number is 303 921-5420. And email is ellisrealestate@comcast.net. Best way to get a hold of me.
Easy. We appreciate you being on, Kelly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you
I'm sorry
very
about the technical difficulties, but we figured it out. But thank you. And you two are amazing women. So thank you for doing this.
Thanks. Bye, Kareen.